when I should have let myself but I couldn't have. Oh no, I couldn't have. I always open my gut when I shouldn't have. Oh no, I shouldn't have.
My man, welcome back. We hit the button and we see where it goes. Anything could happen when we talk shit.
I know, man. The last one was real good. It's good to be back on and good to see you again.
Mate, have you said you ran some races, plural.
Yeah. So I think last time we talked, I did 3 ultras. I did 2 50-mile races and 1 100-kilometer race, which is 63-mile race. And then we talked about that. And then since then, a few months after that, in the summer or in June, I did a 100-mile race on a mountain in Colorado in the US. And then I just did 2 backyard ultras, which are last man standing races. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, man. But for people who don't have a clue what we're talking about, go on, give me some explanation because these things are legit.
Yeah, they're insane. So a premise of this race is it's a 4.2-mile loop every hour on the hour. And there's no set distance. You literally go until there's one runner left. So if you run the 4.2 miles, and let's say on average, I was running it in about 45 minutes, then I have 15 minutes until I have to then get back at the start line and start another loop. So it's just the same. What's hard about it is it's the same mundane loop over and over again. It's the same route you tripped on 3 times. It's the same course. It's the same hill. It's over and over and over again. And it is a monster of a race.
How long did you go for?
The first time I did it in October, I did 75 miles, which is, I think, 18 hours of running every hour. And then this past race that I just actually got done with on Saturday, so about 3 days ago, it was 58 miles. So not as good. And there's a few reasons that I can go into details and explain like just kind of like what happened. But this race was so difficult. It was like pouring rain the entire time. It was really windy, and the trail was so muddy. It was a harder course in general, but it was a wild experience. So I'm almost more proud of the 58 miles that I went than I am 75, given just like it was just a tough race.
Mate, that's a beautiful point, right? Because I think we get really obsessed with like these objective metrics and be like, how far did you go? How fast did you go? How much did you lift? How many reps? Whatever the fuck it is. I mean, like, we didn't quite make it a little bit more than what we've previously done. Oh, then it's a failure. Then we can't be proud of ourselves. Like, if the effort to get yourself there, like, took a lot from you, went to a mental place, whatever. Maybe your life's got a little bit crazy, and we got to the start line and we gave it a crack. Sometimes you can be more proud of that, and you look back and think, you know what? I still was in the arena swinging a bat. I might have missed every pitch, but I was in there. I was giving it a crack. Like that is fucking.
Yeah, that's spot on. I mean, greatness isn't the outcome and the results, but the valiance of the effort. And if you put forward like your true, I gave it what I think was my all, then you can still, even if the outcome isn't exactly what you want, you can still reflect on that, learn a lot from it, and be very, very proud of yourself. Because there's really no winning or losing. Everybody knows the saying, there's no winning or losing. There's just learning.
Yeah.
And so an outcome like that, where I didn't do as well as I was hoping, and I didn't do well as I've done before, I still look at it and I'm like, there's so much good here. And I'm very, very proud of what I did. And in general, these backyard races, it's so hard because no matter what, it's not like in like my 100-mile race, I ran for 26 hours. I crossed the finish line, and there was this like cataclysmic moment of just like, I did it. I finished. I like this big moment that you've worked so hard for. You've envisioned yourself crossing that finish line 1,000 times. And as soon as you do it, it's like this rush of dopamine. You feel like the man. But in this race, there's no set distance. And unless you are the winner of the race, there is going to be a sour taste in your mouth afterwards, because you're always going to be thinking, as soon as you're done and you got a good night's sleep after the race, you're always thinking, man, only if I would have just done this a little better, I could have done more. So no matter what, you're never going to be happy with your result in a race like this, which makes it so frustrating.
So what are you chasing in that? Let's try and put it into layman's terms for the uncrazies out there, the people who are quote unquote sane, that would look at that and be like, well, that doesn't sound like a good time. And it isn't, but it also is at the same time, because it is a good time because it isn't a good time. That kind of forced struggle in a way, like it's so addictive. Once you get a little taste for it, like you want a little bit more. It's like self-harm. That's a
Yeah.
little crazy way of saying it, but it's an acceptable way of harming ourselves physically to unlock something mentally. And I'm not saying go out and heat up a blade, but I'm saying like push yourself.
Yeah, and one of the things that like always brings me back to these races, and like one of the things that I look forward to the most going into these races, is that moment in the race where you are completely stripped mentally,
Mm,
physically, spiritually, and you're just out on the trail like by yourself, just fighting and fighting, and it's been a long day. You're a little bit disoriented. You might be hallucinating a little bit, which that actually happened to me. I did hallucinate. And you find that yourself in this spot where you get to understand yourself very, very well. You
mm.
get years of wisdom by putting your
Oh yeah.
what oh yeah. What I
Sorry,
what
look.
I see, you're all good. What I see going into those things is like that moment of, I'm in a horrible shape. I'm feeling like all these different emotions, and what you learn about yourself in those times. So it's not about, for me, the mileage or crossing the finish line. It's just like this overarching feeling of like trying to get to know yourself and become better and like learn about what you're capable of. Like, you don't, one of my favorite quotes is an Alex Hormozy quote where he says, you don't gain confidence by shouting affirmations at yourself in the mirror, but by giving yourself a stack of undeniable proof that you are exactly who you say you are.
Mm.
So that's exactly what it is for me, is it's me trying to prove to myself that I can do hard things and I can make it through hard times and I can accomplish big goals.
What did you find? What little avenue within yourself did you find?
I found in this past race, every race kind of brings out its own thing. Like, it's almost like its own sense of clarity, like it's its own therapy session, really. But this past race, I like found myself, because the worst part of this race for me was between about 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. I couldn't hold any food down. I was
Oh,
extremely nauseous. Though it was raining, my feet are mangled right now. But it was just like I was in this bad place, and when I can't hold down food, I burned 15,000 calories in this race. So if you can't hold down food, you have no
fucked.
energy reserves. You are done, my friend. And so I was like very disoriented, and I was kind of like running in like zigzags. It was almost like I was running hammered. And what I like, there was a few stretches in that race where it was like I had to do like two more loops that I made it through in this like disoriented phase. And what I kind of found in this like moment was when you have because the worst part is when I would have to sit before I had to start another loop. And what I kind of like self-reflected was when you have like forward progress, when you are like moving forward, physically moving forward in your life and doing things where that's actually propelling you forward, all the like self-doubt and like overwhelming feelings that kind of cripple us in our everyday life, you can move, like you don't think about it and you're able to move forward. But when you're sitting alone and you're just like self thoughts come in. And that was what was really hard for me, is because when I would sit down in that chair, I would have all these self-doubts and I would start thinking on the trail again. I'm in this like disoriented phase. I was able, because I was just able to like find, like I was able to all these things. I was able to just move forward and burn some.
Yeah, man. It's almost like movement creates momentum, and we have to be able to prove to ourselves that we can actually keep one foot going in front of the other one. It's like when we sit down and we spend a little bit too much time within our own head, focusing on our troubles, our problems, or whatever it is, it actually comes round and bites us in the ass. I was like, well, sometimes it doesn't actually matter what you do. You just have to keep fucking going. And then in retrospect, you end up figuring out the path, you figure out the wisdom, you figure everything else out. You've just got to keep those feet shimmering forward. Because if you're not, we sit down and we stay down for too long, it's even harder to get back up, right?
I'm having some connection issues. Hold on.
It's okay, man. There we go. Back in. Talking across the world is difficult. We'll just shout at each other. Or you're just gonna have to come to
Yeah.
Sydney.
Yeah, well, that might actually happen. So
Mate, let's make it happen.
yeah, that'd
Uh
be great.
yeah, also all I was alluding to is sometimes movement is all we need. Sometimes doing something is all we need. And I think we strategize a little bit too much, right? We sit down and be like, what's the perfect plan? What's the strategy that I need to attack this? What's exactly that I need to get done? I'm like, well, just do something, just work, get busy type stuff. Yeah, I'm not saying like kind of run on the spot and expect to get anywhere, but like in terms of fitness, in terms of health, even in life, right? Just show up to work, do your best, get home. Don't worry about whether it's 5% under your maximum potential. Don't worry about whether you feel like shit. Just just do something. And then sometimes the dots end up linking together. Like Steve Jobs said, the dots only connect each other when you look backwards. You just got to trust that they actually connect. You just got to keep going forwards. I think
I
I think we got to think about a lot of things, and I think there's time to sit down. But the longer we sit down, the harder it is for us to get back up. And sometimes we just got to keep going.
And I agree. And it's even small things. It's like even just like doing your dishes or making your bed. And it's just like little wins, like little
Yeah.
victories over time that compile into big victories. It's just little things that you just do over and over and over again. That even if you're having a bad day or if things aren't going well in your life, it's like, okay, I can't change the situation because this is like what I'm dealing with right now. But if I just like, what positive things can I do today that can at least put me in the right direction instead of sitting here and laying in bed all day and just overwhelming thoughts that just are negative and self-doubt and I'm never going to be good enough or I'm not going to make it. I have bad luck. Like I hate that. I have bad luck. It's like you make your own luck. Well, just start doing things. Start doing things and luck will turn around for you.
Mm. Yeah, we like to blame a lot of things, right? And it's like if
Oh
I
yeah.
can't if I can't do the whole thing or I can't do it to my maximum potential or to the best of my ability, I'm not even going to do it. I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to do 10% of it. And to be honest,
Mhm.
that's what writing books taught me. Of like, well, I'm not going to sit down and create a completely polished thing in one sitting and then just be like, okay, let's get the cover and send it out. Like the first and the 10th iteration of this thing is shit, mate. It doesn't make any sense. There's too many spelling mistakes. It's too much grammar which is wrong. I got the wrong word. It's basically a wrestling match. And that's almost everything. We expect to just like shit out this perfect golden egg and be like, no, you shit out turds. And then you've got to mold it. You got to get your hands in the mud. You got to get a little dirty, put some elbow grease into it. And then guess what? We actually create a little bit of a sculpture and it looks pretty good in the end. It's just polishing, it's moving dirt, it's getting things done slowly.
Yeah, and that makes me kind of think like so this is the second time I've done this backyard ultra, and it's really frustrating because I've ran 100 miles before. Like I know, well, I know I can do it. I know what it takes, but it's like something about the format of this race and the style of this race. I just can't seem to master it. Like it just twice now I've gotten done with it and like been like upset with how I've done.
Mm.
Um, so, but I can't expect to go out. You're striving for it, and you should always strive for it. But it's you. I can't expect to just become the best backyard last man standing ultra runner of all time in one go at it. It's just that's not how it works. And like you said, that's life in general. That's not how things work. You have to remember where you're going and not where you're at. And if I what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to try and attempt these until eventually I can start putting up the numbers that I know I'm capable of, or I can start like winning some of these big races and stuff like that, or like getting into the bigs backyard like world championships. And so I'm just going to continue to do it, but you have to like put your love into the whole journey of attention and trying to do it and learning from it and learning from each one. Because if you fail and you're like, that's it for me, I'm just never going to do this, so I'm going to give up, then you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to make any progress.
Do you think winning one, simply the act of winning one, or simply the act of, say, you said you ran 100 miles. Okay. Like, if you run 100 miles or if you win one, either one of the two, do you think that will actually scratch the itch?
You know what's funny? I was having this conversation with one of my friends who's also a runner, and he was saying he made a comment about I don't. The problem with this like ultra running stuff is I don't see it ever coming to an end. And I was like, that's the point. Is it
Mm.
never ends? Because as soon as you what there's people in this world that are wired this way where they have to find their limit. Whatever their limit is, they just keep going higher and higher until you've hit that limit. So for that limit for me right now is this backyard ultra race, but the problem is it's an entirety loop because you then become obsessed with wanting to overcome it. And then eventually you do overcome it because you keep trying and trying and trying and you're obsessed with it. But what happens is now there's a new mountain to climb.
Yeah.
You there's a new ceiling. There's a new limit. So it never ends. And I think that that's good in life because you're just constantly going up and up and up. But if you look at like the actual path of someone becoming really good at something, it's not a straight linear going up. You just keep excelling. It's like almost like a square. It's like you go up and then you kind of plateau and then you suck at it again and you get really frustrated, but then you have to try again and then you go back up and you just keep, it's like the cycle that never ends, which is awesome. And that's why I love it. But yeah, I mean, once I hit like, let's say 100 miles for this backyard ultra, I'm going to sign up again and I'm going to want to do 120 or 150 or go win one. So it's never going to end, my friend.
I think that's the thing, right? We become obsessed and we try and seek out the slice of humble pie that we feel like we've overcome. You know, we say, for example, the 100 miles, you achieve it. You are winning a race, you achieve it. You're like, yeah, but now I need to go get punched in the face by something again. And I got to get that dog in me of like, well, this really fucking nailed me and I can't quite master it. I was like, yes, that's the thing that we end up falling in love with and wanting to dance with continuously, right? And I also think there's two types of folks when it comes to that. There's ones that kind of lights a match underneath their nutsack and they're like, I gotta do this. Like this is I'm getting slapped here and I'm lapping it up and I'm learning so much and this is fantastic. And then you've got the other type of folk that allow fear to dictate their outcome and they're like, I don't want to be bad at something. That's really going to hurt in terms of our realm, right? With like fitness, yeah, it will physically hurt as well, but it's the emotional and mental anguish that you go through, and it's also going to be the same in fucking learning your job, you know. But you see it with folks; they hit a ceiling, they get out of uni, they do college, they do whatever they do, and they get a job, and they half master it because they know what they're doing. The 9 to 5, they know what they're going to do. And then they stay exactly the same for the next 40, 50 years. And they're
Yeah, and you
scared
fall
of
into a
like,
routine.
they hit the routine and they're scared of getting the humble pie again, man. And I think we have to seek out a little bit of change, a little bit of stuff where we do end up coming back down on that graph. We've reached the top, we've plateaued a little bit, we've gone across, we've gone lateral, and then we are actually sinking, and we're like, oh fuck, like this is not good. My numbers are going down, like whatever. And then you catapult back up again, you know. The top of every mountain is the bottom of the next, and you got to keep
Absolutely.
seeking out the mountains.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to do stuff where you were like, so like for example, this I did this 100-mile race, and that was such a big goal of mine. And like once I got done with it, I was like, I felt like the man. And like then I completely like just looking back at the past year and how I've trained for my next ultras, I've completely like kind of lost my edge a little bit.
Mm.
And it was kind of like I fell into this routine of just like, oh, you can like you did this 100-mile race. It's like you can do it like anything, and you don't have to work as hard because you've done it. And but that's what happens is you fall into this like routine, and then next thing you know, you're going down and you don't even realize it. And so now I did these two races that they've totally kicked my ass and gave me a slice of humble pie, and now I feel that fire more than ever. And I have two races that I'm preparing for, one in 2 months. That's a 50-mile race. And then 3 weeks after that, I'm going to be doing another 100-mile race. And it's like, even today, like just the way I'm approaching today, now like 3 days now from that race, I'm like, okay, I need to be back. And like when I got done with that 100-mile race, it was like, okay, I started saying I was going to run like this amount of miles, and then I didn't do it. And then I started saying I was going to drink, this amount of water and eat this way, and I didn't do it. And said I was going to recover like this, and I didn't do it. So it was all those little losses that compile to then on race day, you get slapped in the face. So now it's like, oh, I have my edge back where I feel very, very like almost like angry and like motivated to go out and just kind of like basically, I don't know, take my throne back. I don't know, like my throne for myself, really.
Yeah.
But it's just it gives you a little kick fire once you fall into those routines, you don't even realize it, and you start going downhill, and then you need something to light you up again.
Yeah. I think that internal fight is so wonderful. You know, it's the angel and the devil, right? And who's gonna sit on the front of that fucking wagon and hold on to the reins? It's like, well, sometimes it's the devil, and that's okay. You got to learn from that. You know, sometimes we got to wake up with the smell of fucking not with the smell of coffee, with the fucking cold water in your face. You got to get punched. Oh, okay, cool. Like that sucks. I hate that. I'm not gonna do that again. Let's fucking go. And
Mm-hmm.
it is the person staring back at you in the mirror. It is yourself. It is the voice. It is the little laziness that says, maybe I skip around. Maybe I stay up a little later. Maybe I do this, that, and the other. And it's like, that's okay. Fine. Maybe we now have to go see what the outcome is from doing that. And we do. Understood. Are we going to do that again? No. Okay, sweet. And we take the reins back. And I think it's also taking taking a judgment off ourselves, right? The prejudice. We get into our own heads, especially folks that have embarked on this path, and maybe they're not so far down as the likes of yourself, but maybe they're just starting this out, and then they judge themselves for quote unquote fucking up or slipping up. It's like, no, it's just a slump. You will come out of it. Sometimes we stay in the slumps for fucking months and years. Ideally not. But I've been in slumps for fucking years before. And guess what? You end up getting sick of your own bullshit, and you end up coming back out, and then you find your groove again. And then the energy you give off is way better. People like to be around you. Your performance goes up, yada, yada, yada. And it's just got to take that pressure off yourself and just be like, you know what? If I'm that man or woman in the arena, every time I can get beat 999 times out of 1,000. But that last one's got to be a win.
Absolutely. That very well said. And also I want to go back to what you said about like being in a slump and then like getting your fire back. It's both of those are contagious. So the people that you're around that you surround yourself with, if they are always in a slump, if they're always saying I'm unlucky, if they're always saying that woe is me game, that's going to be contagious, and you're going to start acting like that. Versus the other side of it, if you have people that are just always getting after it, they're winners and they want the best and they're trying to motivate others, it's like that is contagious as well. And so also you like the way you act is going to affect other people too. So at least take it on yourself that if I start acting this way, it's like you start bringing other people around you, and it kind of gives you a bigger purpose than just yourself, which I think it's easier to do really hard things if it's for someone else.
Oh, for sure. We'll lay down our own life for somebody else, but for ourselves, we won't walk around the block.
Very
It's
true.
strange, man. It's strange. It's like we like to punish ourselves in a way that's going to hinder us in the long term, but actually going to cradle our nutsack in the short term. It's like that's
Yeah.
not going to help you, mate. Like, we'll ship off to war to fight for country, and we'll do whatever for our family and friends, and we'll nail ourselves for some work, and then hey, how about you take 10 minutes and go work on yourself? No, oh, fuck that. I don't need that. It was like, okay, cool. Like,
Where do you think that comes from? Why do you think that is?
maybe a little bit of extreme humbleness and tall poppy syndrome taken to the extreme of like, well, I can't be seen to be quote unquote, and this fucks me off, selfish. And it's like, how is it selfish? Because if you don't look after yourself and then show up half of who you could be, you're now hindering other people. And you're like, no, 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 I'm being there. And I was like, you're not. You're a zombie.
Yeah.
Like, you're not because you're miserable. You're not because you're angry. You're not all these negative things. And I guess people are so scared of other folks' opinions of they think about themselves too much.
Hmm.
I was like, well,
Yeah.
guess what? If I disappear and then I fucking resurface and I'm way better to be around, wouldn't you prefer that than me being around and being a little bit more like, no, fuck off, leave me alone? Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense, but we try and fit in with the Joneses, don't we? We like to sit in our places like good boys and girls and follow the crowd.
I feel like that's something that I've kind of learned over the past 2-ish years is just to be more kind of just comfortable, like just like you don't need a lot of friends. Like you don't need a lot of people to, hold your hand through life. And it's kind of just like, well, I'm going to do me. If you don't like a lot of the things that I say on podcasts or like on, my Instagram or YouTube, it's like, it's not for everybody, but
Mm.
it's what I think, it's what I believe. And I'm going to start being unapologetic about it because I think there's value in it. And I know from firsthand experience based on the things that I've put myself through. So I think over time I've gotten better at that aspect, but it's definitely something that we all fall like natural, just wanting to like please everybody, wanting to be friends with everybody. It's like sometimes like no, like fuck you. Like I'm just gonna be myself and I'm gonna work my ass off and whatever I want to do. And if you don't like it, then I'm not for you.
Mm. If we please everybody, we imprison ourselves.
Well said, my friend. Very, very well said.
You know, just just got to do your thing, man. And guess what? The people that are gonna want to be around you will be around you. And if you disappear, the ones that really give a fuck will reach out. We live in a bloody technology world, man. Like email, fucking Zoom, call them, text them, Facebook them, Instagram, DM. Jesus Christ, there is so many ways to get a hold of somebody. And if they do a real good job and they clean the whole thing, and you disappear for 5 years, and then you reappear, they'll message you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll be like, dude, the fuck you been? Are you alive? It's good. I'm not saying like you got to play a game with your mates to see if they're going to stay in
Yeah.
contact with you, but we don't need to have these shallow conversations. We don't need to be like, hey, oh yeah, how have you been? I was like, dude, if we're not each other's people, we're not each other's people. That's okay. I'm not saying being an asshole to each other, but like a
Mhm.
nod of their head. How's things, mate? You all right? Yeah, sound. We don't have to put on this fake smile where I mean I read a book. I've been reading a book at the moment. It's called the Culture Playbook by Daniel Cole, and it goes like the top part of your face, so eyebrows up, is more expressive than the bottom part, and it's why when you basically having these conversations and it's the whole fake smile, right? When someone fake smiles, the top half of their face doesn't move. It's just there.
Oh, wow.
And I like pictured it in some in my mind of some interactions I had recently, and I was like, holy shit, yeah, from like their eyebrows up, it doesn't move, and then it's just this weird gleaming smile. You're like, yeah, closely don't fucking believe it. Well, hey, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's strange as well because I think saying things how it is and shooting from the hip, being a bit blunt, as it's called, I think that also has a really negative connotation.
I agree.
Calling a spade a spade, it's like,
Hmm.
nah, I'm not okay with that. They're like, oh, well, you can't say that. Why not? You want me to lie to you?
Yeah, if you're blunt to your friend, like let's say my friend's doing something, like somebody I genuinely care about, and they're doing something that I know is not good for them, and I call them out on it, I may look like the bad guy,
Yeah,
I am worse of a person if
yeah.
I were to just tell you what you want to hear and I let you continue to do these bad things and make these bad decisions.
It's funny you say that because that's how I assess the depth of friendships. Like if I,
Mm,
because we're all going to toe the line from time to time, right? And if they call me out, and if I ask their opinion and be like, mate, was this too much? And they said, yeah, I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have said that, or I think this, that's, and this. I'm like, you know what? They respect the shit out of me. If someone turns around and
mm,
goes, no, you're fucking great the way you are, I was like, parts. I hope so. I hope parts are all right. Yeah, but no, like things are going to need to change because if we're not growing, we're dying, and we all need to progress. It's not like I'm a block of stone that can't fucking change and can't move. I was like, no, because I will fuck people off, and
mhm,
we're gonna have to adapt. It was like, okay, well, first time, 10th time might not have been all right, but we need to learn, and we need to be this like moldable, shapeable creature that can change sociologically, right?
mhm.
Same
Completely.
with physiologically, same with mentally, same with emotionally, same with everything. It all needs to
Mhm,
slightly adapt. Yeah, keep the core value. Don't fucking change who you are and that. But all these lessons and these skills need to accumulate over time. And we do that by opening ourselves up. We do that by having a hard conversation. And we do that by our mate saying, no, you were a cunt. And I was like, thank you very much. I'll try not to do that
mhm.
next time.
Yeah, and then you know that that person's truly in your corner because they want the best for you.
Exactly. Exactly. But hey, I think PC language, I think corporate politics, bureaucracy, and also just being a little fucking soft has crept in. And I don't think it's
Hmm.
just because we are not as hard as we quote unquote used to be. We're talking like we're ancient now. But I think it's because we don't truly understand who we are. I think that's where the thing is. It's like just spend a little bit of
Hmm.
time on your own, spend a little bit of time and activities developing who you are, who I am as an individual, as a fucking human being, not
Hmm.
the person that had to go to school, not somebody who wants to, I don't know, be a banker, not somebody who's a friend. No, no, no. Who the fuck are you? What does it mean to be you? And then I think
Hmm.
everybody else, everything else just kind of molds itself around that. I don't think we're getting quote unquote softer because we're just like diabetic ridden, like lazy pieces of shit. I just think we haven't spent the time, core values, and I think that bleeds off into everything else.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And like a lot of people, their values will change over time. And I think it's important to every now and then like define what your values are. And like, I mean, like physically write down what do you
Yeah,
value, what is most important to you. And I think when you make it very plain and clear, it'll kind of change how you live your everyday life and kind of dictate, how you approach certain things and how you handle certain things. And I think if you establish your values of like, I want to be a good man, I want to be a good husband, I want to be, a good father, all those things, and make it very clear what it means to be those things.
yeah,
And I think then it'll kind of take away some of the, I guess, confusion with who you are, and you can kind of get a more hard written, defined version of who you are and what you believe.
completely agree. Completely agree. It's like, what do you believe? Then how do you make that happen? What does that look like?
Hmm.
What do we need to be? but they're hard conversations and people run away from that.
Yeah, I mean it is tough. It's hard to do that internal reflection, like, and that's kind of like why I love ultras is you're kind of forced to do it. Like, because when you're out on the trail at 4 o'clock in the morning and you've been running 20 hours and you're pretty beat up. I mean, you go deep in your mind and you find things about yourself that you didn't even realize.
Fitness is a beautiful tool to be able to
Mm,
do that to us. It kind of forces us and shows us who we are beneath all the fucking layers and masks and clowns and makeup and all that shit. You know, I think it was Aristotle who said adversity exposes you to you. And what better way to do that than running a 4.2 mile loop until you fucking drop and can't do it within an hour?
That's the premise of it, my friend.
until we find a better way, which I'm sure there probably won't be because you will have been an easier way, quote unquote, i.e. a shortcut,
Yeah,
which never means it's better. It just means it's fucking quicker to get done. I
yeah,
think we're gonna have to keep forcing ourselves into these positions to learn those things.
yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Right. Again, always been an honor and privilege.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, and good luck. Good luck out there in Sydney. Maybe I'll see you there.
Mate, we're gonna have to get out on the hills, on the trails, and then under a fucking barbell and get some squatting done, and then 100% I'll be there. We'll do a backyard or something. I'll do some crazy shit with you, no problem.
Yeah, 4 miles every hour. Let's do it.
I'm in. It'll take me an hour, but I'll fucking rock up again. I'll do the next one.
That's all it
Mate,
takes.
have a cracking day. We'll speak soon.
All right, man. Take care. See ya.
Bye, man. Bye, everybody.